Karen Holten TV presents the Aliens and Angels podcast. Meet experiencers, contactees, abductees, ET human hybrids, and more weird paranormal states of reality. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Aliens and Angels podcast. Today, my returning guests are Miya StarFire, Jay SkyRunner, and Jeremy Richards, and we're going to discuss the current status of disclosure from our own personal perspectives. But first, let me tell you a little bit about my guests. Miya StarFire offers energy healing and clearing sessions. She holds certificates in polarity energy healing, dragon energy healing, sound healing, and Arcturian energy healing. She can help you to find your star seed origins or give you past life readings, and will assist people so they can meet their own spirit guides. Jay SkyRunner is an energy healer and teacher of his own version of Qigong called Celestial Energy Work, and he also offers Akashic record readings. Jeremy was born with multiple medical conditions, including spina bifida, and he has had a range of paranormal experiences, from living in a haunted house as a child to his first UFO sighting at age 12 and an experience meeting his guardian angel. Then, in his late 20s, he had an extreme UFO experience and that was witnessed by hundreds of people. And after that, he began researching the UFO phenomenon heavily. All of the links are featured below in the description. Please join us in the live chat if you're here today and share your questions and your comments. And I want to thank you in advance for liking, commenting, subscribing, and please do share my content with your friends. And I'm happy to announce that YouTube channel memberships are now available, so you can receive my books and help to support my channel. Without further ado, let's bring everybody on. Here's Miya and Jay and Jeremy. Hi, guys. How you doing today?
Hi.
Excellent. Welcome to the
Doing
show. I'm
fine.
just, pardon? I don't know. Jay, I think your mic cuts in and out a little bit. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. If it was important, or if you want to, you could repeat it. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't think I
Denise
said
put,
anything.
okay. I'm sorry. Uh, um, Denise put some links in the in on the screen for everybody that wants to make note. These are Miya's links. Thank you, Denise. And here is Jay's links. Of course, they're all below in the description, but just in case you guys want to look them up and sub to their channels, that would be really excellent. And oh, even got the links to my books in here. And just catching up with everybody. And she suggests, and I do too, please say hi, hit that like button, share out, and subscribe. Thank you, everybody. And please do consider becoming a member. It's only $2.99 a month, and it really helps out the chat quite a lot. And let's see. Oh, we've got Terry B, 68 in the house. Welcome. We also have Phoenix is here. She's not feeling too good today, so she may or may not comment. Welcome to the show. And oh, isn't that nice? Terry also says, hi, Denise. Thank you for all you do. I'm loving Karen and this podcast. Awesome. Thank you. And also says hi to Miya, Jay, and Jeremy. We've got Heidi in the house from Boulder, Colorado. Hi, Heidi. Nice to have you back. We've got Botrix. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Oh, we've got My Flock is here. Welcome, welcome. And let's see. Oh boy, we got a lot of people in the chat. Well, just be a minute. I just wanted to quickly say hi here's Jeremy's links. Jeremy, Maya, and Jay all have their own YouTube channels. So I'm hoping you'll go and visit them and, sub up and support their work because it's all important. Okay, pretty much got through all of that. So the subject today is the status of disclosure. I'll start by just saying that I'm disappointed, but not disappointed with how things are going. In my opinion, the American government, I guess, not the individuals, have said, okay, we're going to release all the files on um, JFK, and we're going to release all the files on what happened to Malcolm X, and we're going to release all the Epstein files. And then, oh yeah, we're going to release all the files we have on UAPs and extraterrestrials and interdimensionals. And I'm seeing exactly the sort of same thing happen time after time after time, where everybody gets all worked up and excited, and we're going to have all this great information. And finally, we're going to find out what's going on in the world. And it's always kind of a big fat nothing burger. I've seen better videos on your channel, Maya, of UAPs than what's being released. So I thought I'll just pass it over to you guys. Maya, what's your take on the status of disclosure? Do you think it's happened, it's happening, or it's yet to happen?
I think that it well, I think that a lot of it is a distraction from the truth of actual disclosure and the truth of reality and what is beyond the veil. I think it's also a distraction from getting away from realizing our own true inner power too. And I do
Mm-hmm.
think that they're just drip feeding us like nothing burgers because they're just like keeping us waiting, wanting for more. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think most of the people who are have been doing any kind of researching or experiencing in this community have far better evidence, either with their testimonies or on, video than what the government is providing. So, yeah, I think it's a lot of distraction. I think it's in that they're like, look over here, look over here. We can tell that this is something. We can tell that this is gaining momentum, and we want
Mm-hmm.
to try and move the narratives to something that we can control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hear you. I would agree with that for sure. Jeremy, what's your take on disclosure? Has it happened? Is it happening? Will it happen? What's your take on it?
I think it is a little bit. They're giving us just enough, I think, to try to pacify everyone, but it's not nearly what we should see, what we deserve to see. And I feel like we're making progress, but it's just still never going to be what we really deserve and what it really should be. It's like you said, there's so much out there from, independent people that we should see vastly more than that from our own government, but yet they're just giving us just a little bit. It's like, oh, here's this to try to make you happy, but we've got to still censor what we're giving you. That's just not right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would agree with that too. Jay, what's your take on the status of disclosure?
I agree with all the above, right? It don't really matter. Disclosure isn't happening. This has been going on since I remember in 1996, right? It's been
Mm-hmm.
the same thing since the old forum, since Project Camelot, Project Avalon, the old Godlike Productions. It's pretty much fake, right? And everyone flies off with the agendas to get YouTube famous and be a content creator to fly on it, and that don't help
Mm-hmm.
anybody. That just keeps
Mm-hmm.
everybody. more in the dark of what. I'm not even gonna say what's really going on because I don't know, right? To try not to follow
Mm-hmm.
agenda, only what information comes into me, and we'll get into that too, I guess. But yeah, there's
Mm-hmm.
no disclosure. Like they say, oh, there's 4 different races. The government has this. The government's just playing a role of they want to control the narrative, right? Because there's so many galaxies, so many ancient wars of Orion wars, and different factions of universes that we all operate in simultaneously, going back to the Anunnaki and the
Mm-hmm.
Asgardians and the Dark Elves and the Pleiadians. It's we're only starting to just get the tip of the iceberg right now of what's going on, and anyone that government's working with is controlling the narrative, so we create that reality of the perceived timeline they want to force us into, which people talk about digital ID, simulation, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you got 4 different, just say 4 different races working with the government to release false information to keep us thinking of a savior. We all want to wait for someone to come and save us, right? And people in the
Mm-hmm.
community are, I want to leave this place, want to leave this place, and get out of here and not come back. But we don't. All the savior programs, I used to talk about it a lot. I won't today, but it's to make us try to cop out of our own past life trauma that we have to deal with ourselves. Wait for savior to come take us, and they take that from us, so we stay here trapped. Right? We need to go through our ancestral DNA lineage, or great remembering from our times on Lyra or wherever we came from, right? Because we all come from different places through the Earth years, 54 billion years or so, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the more that we wait for a savior to save us from our own trauma feeling, being victimized, they're taken away from us, right? Instead of us going
Mm-hmm.
into doing our own work, which can translate over to spirituality and to shadow work and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good
So
point. Good point.
disclosure to me is bullshit. In better words, I could sum everything up. I said in that one word, bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. You know what I noticed too is two things. One is, you know how Antarctica is off limits and all the countries, well, not all, there's maybe 3 that haven't signed their accord, but they all got together and agreed nobody can go to Antarctica, and very little information about what's really down there has come out. And likewise with UFO and ET disclosure is, you would think that Russia or China or one of the other major players or minor countries would be wanting to be the first ones to come out with the information, because this isn't just happening in the United States. This isn't just happening in Canada. This is happening all over the world. But again, that tight-lipped um, censorship of what's going on, retrieved craft, if there's any alien bodies, I'm calling them aliens. As we progress in the discussion today, and as the audience just got a bit of information from Jay, I think that many of us are in the camp that this is a spiritual thing. That ETs are actually transdimensional beings. And then there's, the many worlds theory. There's the multiverse. It's mind blowing what science has actually already come up with. And so it's just, of course, none of us are experts or know for sure. Those of us that have had some firsthand experiences, we can speak for our own experience. But again, those experiences are depend on perspective and other things. So I just find it interesting that it seems to be a global thing. That is, if we live on a globe, and that's another discussion. So I'm wondering. I want to turn it back over to you guys and get your thoughts. I'm wondering if, well, whoever wants to jump in here and make some comments would be great.
I've started pondering something, and I guess I've pondered it the whole time, but it's just become more in my awareness. Like,
Mhm.
I've there are so many different beliefs because there are so many different people. We're all different and unique in our own way, and so I'm coming to the perspective that we are creator beings. We definitely create our own reality. So perhaps what what you believe is what you create. So make sure that you're creating your own reality and not somebody else's. Is something I have to make sure to keep in my mind, because
Mm-hmm.
we are that strong and powerful, and yeah, I think that's one of the things the government is trying to suppress is us realizing that about ourselves. And as far as these beings, I don't know if they're interdimensional. I don't know if they're extraterrestrial. Um, I, I, I don't know. I think anyone who claims to be an expert is has a very limited view of perspective. To be
Mm-hmm.
honest, um, but there's no way you can be an expert unless you are that thing. I can only be an expert about being Maya, and even then, I'm not completely right all the time. So, because I'm always changing, and I think that's the point. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're really working towards understanding, but really until, you know, this life ends and we grow and see what happens next, we'll
Mm-hmm.
never, truly have a full understanding of what isn't. There's, like a veil across our eyes where, we get glimpses of things, we see different aspects, but we can't truly understand what it is. We, make decisions and absorb information to the best of our ability, but things that I thought I understood, 10 years ago are completely different than the way I understand them now. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole purpose in life is to seek knowledge, seek growth, and change, and keep moving forward, and keep, choosing the direction of our reality. What we say and what we think influences that to such a depth. It's like you see the people that are constantly speaking negative things about themselves or about their lives. Like Bruce Lee, even, would comment that you've got to speak that you're the best, speak these positive things because it has an impact. And whether they're extraterrestrial, interdimensional, spiritual, whatever, I think they're, trying to lead us to understand these things. And oftentimes we're turning a blind eye to them and are almost intimidated by the lessons being taught.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. Jay, did you have something you wanted to say?
Was that me?
Yeah. I didn't know if I missed you. I'm sorry. I'm watching the chat at the same time, so I didn't want to leave you out if there was something you wanted to say.
No, I went on a great big spiel at the beginning. I'm just wanting to hear everyone's perspectives and looking at the chat as well. Chats are always interesting because everyone has their own information, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I like to do a show with everybody at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
no, I was looking at the chats, like even Cosmic Voices saying there's no aliens, no spirits. I see it that way
Mm-hmm.
too, and I see it other ways. So I don't know, right? Like there's no way I can say I know because when I'm getting information coming in, it's not from studied text. Because a lot of people just read things and follow it and think it's true, right? Which I was following this woman on a podcast the other night. The chats were getting kind of nasty because people believed what they read. There's just so much going on, right? Through timeline wars, false text of what's going on, and what aliens really are. I can
Mm-hmm.
see it. I can see it one way, then it changed. So I don't believe what I was just told myself because we're only 50% of our own thoughts. So we got to kind of figure out what's going on there, right? So it's a mass
Yeah.
confusion. Call it mass confusion. Like lately, I've been getting a lot of information because I'm like, okay, if we're under a dome and space ain't real, how does the other stuff play into play?
Yeah.
But then when I go to astral travel and all that stuff, I'm seeing real space is outside of the container that we are in with all the different dimensions are in one container. That's a game that we agreed to do, right?
Yeah.
The outside of the container, I don't know. I was showing that there's being there's nothing but pure love, and only the duality exists here in this cosmic game where Earth is the grand prize. And we have so many alternate realities, like a lot of the like this goes, everything. That's why I don't get asked to go on shows, because I talk about everything as it gets to grain, right? I'm not into name dropping and getting in certain groups and talking about certain things. That's why.
Mhm.
That's why I just do my own thing. Which I quit doing my own thing for like a year until I start making healing videos again, which is more important. But yeah, like I don't know. I get shown weird stuff. Like as soon as I shut my eyes, I'm jumping. I don't even know if we want to call it timeline jumping, or we're accessing our maybe past memories of other timelines that we exist in, because we exist in many. But I think we can almost say like Orion Wars flying through space. Maybe it's not real, but maybe it goes to portals and other dimensional planes where there's another version of Earth. But people say it was the Anunnaki, but Nibiru was actually a parallel version of Earth that's combined of Asgard and Earth, and everything goes
Mhm.
back to how we made different beings, right? Like we got whites and blacks and Chinese, with spreading DNA wisdom to create soul families through that container of a game that we played. So we have all kinds of different beings, but of course we got duality. Some turn bad, some turn good, and they're all playing out their
Mhm.
own game of controlling Earth as the prize, right? So angels, aliens, demons, jinn, the devil, Christ. You know what I mean? Like I think there's a lot of names for a lot of things that went on for eternity. It's
Yeah,
hard to
for
cipher
sure.
through. We can't make everyone got their own faction to try to make it as a truth, right? And I think they got their own agendas. Like the other day, I was shown that the Greys and the Reptilians, they were trying to terraform Earth into the Tronverse because everything's hidden in those movies.
Mhm.
But we already have a future Earth in Earth years. What did I say? In the year 81,000, it's already out there where everything's good and Earth is heaven on Earth that it's supposed to be, right? So we're in this limbo Earth timeline that we're resolving. What's that? Cosmic drama. Yeah, we're just resolving cosmic drama because there's still too many bad things going on here, like a government getting plutonium, time traveling it to future events, and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's why disclosure is so hard to follow along with, because everyone has their own
Yeah.
agenda of the outcome we want.
Um, what I find confusing is there different people are saying, and I have no proof on any of this, but different people are saying, that there's, I don't know, 69 or 107 different races interacting with Earth. And I'm going, how is that going to be possible without an air traffic control system? Aren't they all stepping on each other's toes? And I have not had any experiences with any of the ETs that people have claim to meet here on Earth. My experience was clearly an interdimensional experience. And then you cross over into the whole spiritual realm. So there's so many realms. So like I find that what is really difficult is living amongst humans. There's so much war and discontent and just bad spell casting. That's what I boil a lot of it down to. People are lie like crazy, and then they get elected into positions of power, and they don't do what all the things they say they're going to do, and it just seems like Earth is just a really big mess right now. Why would beings even want to be here? I'm non-human intelligences even want to be here. It's just such a big mess right now. But I do think there's something to the whole contact. I do believe people, whatever their story is, because who am I to say what's real and what's not real? My particular experience is pretty unbelievable. I wouldn't really expect people to believe it. I'm hoping that it makes an impact and causes people to think about things, but um, I don't really expect people to believe me. But then I'm just one person and I'm taking an experience and I'm filtering it through my own perceptual arena, trying to make sense out of it. We're not given the concepts or the language to even talk about some of this stuff. And so much of it overlaps with even a higher state of spirituality. And so, I don't no, I never claimed to be an expert. I don't know exactly what's real, but I do know that things are a mess here in the three-dimensional, and we have a lot of work to do. That's in my personal opinion. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I wonder if this is what it looks like before we level up or evolve or change into a higher state of being, to where we realize that it all starts in the spiritual, and everything that is happening here is happening in the spiritual. And then we realize that we need to start educating ourselves, and better yet, everyone and all the children, so that they can grow up with these concepts and ideas, and be more integrated and normalized with them, so that they can realize who they are on a spiritual level, keep their spiritual gifts, keep their connection. And so right now it just looks really, really terrible. And so maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're experiencing, maybe right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It seems terrible, but we got to get that out of our mind that it's not terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if everyone did that together, we can end it pretty quick, but we can't because of all the distractions.
Yeah.
Like today, I
Yeah.
was laying down before the show. I was getting this other weird experiences again. Like I say, I don't even know what they are, but I'm sleeping, and then I'm seeing my yard, but I'm seeing bubbles open up like a portal, and I'm seeing through it, and I'm seeing base reality Earth over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're dumbed down a little bit in frequencies over something that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Did I freeze again? No. I
No,
mean,
no,
they talk
you're
about.
good.
There's so many stories of what went on in the past. Right? Were we good or were we bad? Did we get quarantined here? You know what I mean? Like, or do like I said, or we have to resolve our own stuff, right? And
Mm-hmm.
but I think that the whole 2012. I think that we were now in Earth limbo, hit Earth timeout, not in an overtime. That timeline already ended, and that's why we're having so many Mandela effects and all that stuff. And a lot of people that are having experiences are connecting to all the other realms. Some people are connecting to the Pleiadians, which can go back to not elf, but the elves, an upgraded version of the elf, the elvens, the elven race.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will call other ones angelics. They think it's a star system flying in ships like Sirius A, but maybe that's a portal, right? That our realms,
Mm-hmm.
we have still have access to all those portals through the stars, right? So we can still.
Mm-hmm.
I
We
don't
got a
know. It's weird. I
question.
see things different ways. I'm talking backwards against stuff I said years ago, right? Now I'm seeing more things like the nine realms. You know what I mean? That Midgard and Asgard. That kind of. I'm seeing it that
Mm-hmm.
kind of way. And a lot of these beings are actually what we call different names of different races now. Just names
Mm-hmm.
changed over what we call time.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy, did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, still things coming into reality. They're already there, but we don't have them in our plane of reality, our existence yet. And it's trying to move in a direction where they can be without holding ourselves back. Like the Bible says, faith is the manifestation of things unseen. It's
Mm-hmm.
true. You know, if we believe things are the way they are, then, it moves past that eventually into existence. But we got to shape that. We've got to make sure that things are going in the direction. And I think a lot of what the world is seeing now is because on such a mass scale, everybody jumped to the conclusion of negative things if different events happened, that they in turn made those events happen. They made the reality the way it is now. If there's issues, it's because, people have caused that way. Our thoughts, our feelings, our words, more than anything, have spoken into existence, have created it. And I don't know if there's different races of beings out there, but it makes sense, especially because you look at the different religions. You look at, like, the Bible would talk about giants, and there's actually been scientific evidence now that proves giants existed. They could have been, hybrids. So there's all these different beings. So who's to say, they're not what we know by one name, they may be of something different. But like when you tell a story to someone, it almost always changes. There, when we were kids, I remember being at church camp and they would have something. You whisper a short story in somebody's ear, and then they tell the next person, and then that person would tell the next person, and you go down like five people, and by the time it got to the last person, the story had changed significantly, but there was little fragments of truth in it still. But we've got to try to decipher what's true and what's false. What's the narrative that somebody else put on it? What's the belief that they put into it? And then do our best with that information and try to make a difference.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's important. So I have run across quite a few people who believe that the aliens are here to save us from ourselves, save us from our global politics, save us from Earth disaster scenarios, that kind of thing. Based on my experience, no, not at all. And one of you mentioned earlier, was it you, Jeremy? I'm sorry, I can't remember, but you said, that everybody's always waiting for a savior, but I think we have to save ourselves as far as taking care of what I call the temple body, which I believe is an amazing technology. Once we become more functional in ourselves, we can pass that on and help our families and then our communities. And I think my personal belief is that I want to become the change I want to see in the world. And that's really important. Whereas if I take the focus off myself and put it onto an ambiguous other, like an ET or something, then I'm not taking full responsibility for the work and the things that I need to do while I'm here. And as we get older, oh my God, time goes by so fast, we realize life is actually very, very short. So, what are we going to do with that time while we're here? So, some people have not had ET experiences for themselves, and so they're free to speculate. But a lot of people have actually had experiences, and I can't write them all off as being delusional. I don't think that's actually even fair. But what's really going on, I don't think we are necessarily even capable of truly understanding.
Yeah.
So if these beings are very advanced and obviously they have learned a different way of being and getting to us, which I believe they travel interdimensionally, not like getting in a spaceship and flying. It would be ridiculous how much time it would take to get from point A to point B that way. But I believe, and according to my contacts, we are perfectly capable of fixing the situation on Earth ourselves. And indeed, that is our responsibility. And I think, although I myself do not go to church or follow any specific religion, at least not anymore, I do believe that there is a spiritual component, but I have found it from going within rather than looking without. Anyway, just wondered if you guys have thoughts on any of that.
Yeah, for sure. When you were saying you don't know about physical craft flying through space time to get here, that makes sense. What I've kind of been kind of showing is there is crafts because we have crafts here. We have airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
Other versions of Earth, other higher frequencies from other harmonic universes have crafts too, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we would see that craft as being a spaceship that flew through space, but you can open up portals to go between harmonic universes and see their versions of their crafts. So if you look at Earth
That's
as frequencies and multiple frequencies, everything that people talk about, the Orion Wars and all the stuff, cosmos and the different beings, it all happened here.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So,
Like, so because
yeah, it
in
it
in
it does
Atlantis,
sorry, go
like
ahead.
when we see different beings that we thought were giants, because when you opened up portals, like in Atlantis times, they seen different beings as being like not say giants, say they were 12 foot tall, 15 tall, or ones that were 20 foot tall, because you would see them differently than what they look like in their own realm, because a 3D being looks totally different in a 3D universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like the crafts we see here are from here. I believe that
Mm-hmm.
100%, just because I've been shown that
Mm-hmm.
all my life. But the thing I get constantly coming to me is I keep going to these different timeline events where we see things in the sky that people would say would be alien crafts, and I can't explain what they look like because they're unperceivable to our dimensional way of looking at things, in the sound and the way they look. But I can kind of get a glimpse of trying to remember my dreams, but I can't really explain it to anyone what they are. Like the stuff that we see here is from here, and that when these things I was shown, when these appear in our skies, these are going to be actually dimensional crafts. Like dimensional crafts that's used on, say, 6-dimensional Earth. We're not going to be able to perceive what they really are. So what they were trying to tell me is when we see ships in the sky, they're from here because they've always been here.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have so
Mm-hmm.
many Earth resets. People say the resets, it's actually Earth exiles. I'm still trying to figure that out. We're in Earth Exile 12 right now, and that's the last one. And that's why they want to trap us in the metaverse, data centers. They're throwing everything at the book because this is the last Earth Exile. Then we go back to base reality after this.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in limbo. There is no time, right? But we're just floating through this limbo space. And most of us are letting it happen, right? People say, oh, no, they're just normies, NPCs. A lot of the NPCs are important people that just chose to let their body just go on autopilot, and their soul left to work
Mm-hmm.
on other dimensional planes.
Mm-hmm.
And they make it back. Like no souls left behind, really, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation that beings that we're calling extraterrestrials are actually crypto-terrestrials. They've been here maybe even longer than humans have. There are some that plausibly live deep below beneath the oceans, some beneath mountains, some in, areas of deep forestation. Some people even claim that Bigfoot might be an extraterrestrial or interdimensional. And then there is like what you said, Jay, when we go into other dimensions, we can't, if a being from a higher dimension comes into our dimension, we're only going to see a tiny little, only the 3-dimensional part of that manifestation. And it might have 4-dimensional reality, or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. So, it's really hard to say, I know for a fact this is how it goes or that's how it goes. It's really hard to slice or dice it. And then again, I've done a lot of research into flat Earth. I'm not saying the Earth is flat. I'm saying I actually don't know. But, how does that work with the whole UAP extraterrestrial thing, too? So it's just so many different directions we could go in with this. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
What,
it's
what,
very, very interesting.
well, what you just said, I just had a being called Jotnor come in. Said, yeah, when the other dimensional beings come here, like we will get, what are they called? Niflheim giants. When they come
Mhm.
into our reality, we may only see an orb. Then everyone goes on oh, I see an orb. It's this or that. So we'll see things as an orb or a light or something that's
Yes.
not really the full body of them. Like when I'm gonna go back, it's not mythology. When you go back to the Valkyrie and Asgardians, when they want to come into our reality, it's almost like copy and paste. You know what I mean? Not a
Hmm.
clone. I say clone. They told me to say clone for Earth people to grasp what they're doing for themselves, right? It's just like copy and paste yourself into our reality, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And how
And
much of
we
it
have
really
versions of
is the
ourselves.
brain trying to make sense of what they're seeing in situations like that?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. So we got to be
So we gotta be
careful, right?
careful, right?
Like I'm always like now, I'm like, okay, am I? Some people will automatically throw the Bible into it, like, oh, I channel Archangel Michael, and they believe it so hardcore. Like I had angelic beings coming to me. Now I'm just like, I just got to be like, whatever that was. I don't know, because we don't know. We're not knowers, right? Even though we all have those experiences, I think the more we stay in sacred neutral, the better off we are, right?
Hmm.
Like an alien
Yeah.
can come to me, or an angel can come to me, or a jinn I get all kinds of beings. Actually, I had a real nasty attack there one time. I think the only person I told about that was Cosmic Voices in the chat. But I think the more you get to people want to be targeted and victimized, like, I'm just like, I don't want to say, get the fuck out of here. Okay, I see something. If you're not really here to tell me who can't tell me, I'm just going to pass that off as there's something there, but I'm not going to pay attention to it because how can you pay attention to it if it's not really helping you with your ancient remembering, right? Like, there's always agendas of different things.
Yeah. Maya, did you have something you wanted to share?
I'm on the edge of my seat. So I was actually thinking this same almost exact kind of concept. I don't know, it was like a week or two. I don't know. Time is so irrelevant right now. It just seems to mesh into each other. But when I was out sky watching and I was seeing these orbs and I was noticing that sometimes they would come in as patterns or in couples or triples. And my thought, my inner knowing was, am I just seeing pieces of something bigger? Am I only conceptualizing like a small portion of what this really is? And so I think that's what we're all talking about here is, only being able to perceive a small portion because our minds or our eyes can only, actualize that much or whatever. And then I saw there was the time I did see geometry in the sky. So what is that about? Like, is that a bigger portion of something even bigger, or is that like?
No, you're seeing what, Maya. You're seeing what was here a long time ago when the original Earth plan was put in place, and what's going to be here in the future again is what you're seeing in the sky.
See, that's awesome. So I that's funny that we're all talking about this because not a lot of people talk about like, it being smaller portions of something bigger. So anyway,
it's like, okay, I just had some more information come in. Just goes against what everyone talks about probably because everyone's into Atlantis and all that stuff. But Atlantis didn't fall; it chose to leave, right? And pieces of it are under the ocean. Then pieces of it are in another dimension or parallel reality, and other pieces are in the sky. Same as Lemuria. We have Lemurian, Atlantean sky cities. So a lot of things we see are them, people that are open to seeing more, right? Because a lot of it's like cloaked from our technology. Like it's cloaked from what we can see, perceive as frequencies, I guess I meant to say.
What do you guys think
of those people will see that, right, but not realize like, oh my god, that comes from a deep space far, far away. Because we're what happened was after the 1900s they put us in the Star Trek timeline, right?
Yeah,
these beings created a Star Trek Star Wars timeline to change the narrative to how it was before that. The narrative before that was angels and demons, right? So think about a lot of the same things from different things. Stranger Things. We are in the upside down, really.
Very stranger thing. What do you guys think of the concept that the Greys, as they're loosely called, there seem to be many different versions of so-called Greys, that they are us from the future coming back to try to change the timeline so we don't end up actually being like them? I know it sounds very science fiction, but just wondered what you folks think about that.
That's one that I've never really felt was that plausible. I get why some people believe that, but if it was us, I think we would have made sure we came right out where there's no denying that they were there, that they were us. They would have, on a mass scale where, we've had huge sightings like the Phoenix Lights and things like that, but something like out of science fiction, say the show V, where they would have, hovered over a national city in, broad daylight where everybody could see so they could convey that message.
Yes. V was on my mind today. That's funny you said that.
V keeps coming up, so I need to watch it. That's like the 5th time I've heard it in a couple weeks. So.
What? Yeah, watch the original, not the remake, right?
Anyway, that's besides the point. Yeah. I think anything's possible. I don't know. I'm in the camp that anything's possible, and that we can actually create pretty much anything, just in our belief alone. Like if personally and collectively, like especially collectively, if enough of
Right.
us collectively believe strongly that something is going to happen, or something that it is the way it is, I think that that can come to be.
Well, it's like no one. Well, we don't know, right? But no one's 100% wrong. If someone was, just say somebody was from Asgard and incarnated into our timeline back in what we call the Anunnaki days, they lived that experience. So their memories are their truths, even though someone else can call them wrong because it's not theirs, right?
Mhm.
Because maybe someone else didn't incarnate until 2,000 years later, and they're living more of the Christ area they went through and brought that DNA memory back, and they call that truth. And that all that does is cause inner fighting and wars through no time, space time, right?
Hmm.
It's always in the sacred
Mm.
neutral, really. Yeah, I'd rather just sit here. I let thoughts come into me, but I wouldn't. I don't normally go on shows and talk about what comes to me, right? Because I don't know what they are, or don't want to put them out there as truths, right? So I enjoy it. I like all the information coming in, so I can say, well, geez, what the hell was that one, right?
Mhm.
Decipher it because we got our own deciphering. And actually, when we get outside this 12-dimensional container trap, we go back to base reality where we're more physical than we are here.
Mhm. Tell us
And
more
this,
about what base reality means for those in the audience who are not familiar with the term, Jay.
I don't know. I'm seeing 3 or 4 different versions of that. I'm seeing a base reality of Earth of what it was meant to be, right? Before we allowed the duality wars to happen.
Mhm.
Then I'm seeing base reality as another version of Earth when we're completely outside of the construct whatsoever. Because I went there before. Like I went outside. I used to have astral travel here in my house, in my room, then going through different dimensions where people would call them like Pleiadians, Arcturians, but it's actually different kind of frequencies. Because it's like a record. I was starting in the center and going out and out and out until I kind of escaped. Then I kind of turned into a light body, which people would call Christ consciousness, but that was just a healing station, an exit point, right, before we could leave the construct. And outside of there, I was seeing Earth as a bunch of mountains and rivers, and we actually looked like what people call angelic beings. But you know what I mean? And we were all source creators and creating other experiences for new souls to go into or old souls to go into and have an experience there because it gets kind of boring. It's like living on Earth; it gets kind of boring here, doesn't it? And we can create our own reality to go into and create other experiences for other souls to come in.
I think you hit the nail on the head there because it seems that the powers that be here in Canada and in the States and in many places of the world, the fight is to control our minds. And the word government actually means control of our minds. Mentis or ment is our minds. And so
Yeah,
the politicians are not here to necessarily even rule or make decisions. They're here to control our minds, all of us. And so the more mixed up we are, confused, the more we're othering each other, fighting at contentions with each other. What I hope that the guests on this show will do is come on the show with small t truth. This is my truth. This is my truth. But I don't think we can spread that to a universal capital T truth to the whole of humanity based on our own perceptions because we're just so limited. And as others have brought out on the show today, the light spectrum that we're able to perceive, sound, touch, smell, is so small, so small that theoretically it's quite likely that there is life all around us we may not commonly be perceiving. Wondered if any of you want to make any comments about that.
well, yeah, you something with governmental, but people can't get out of that, right? Because we're so used to being a slave race for so friggin' long. It's programmed in our mind to be slaves.
I don't
but
know. I must be a pretty uppity
it's hard.
slave,
It's hard for
guys.
everyone to drop. Like I can't drop work. I can't. We don't want to be homeless. Want to feed our kids. But if we all did it together, we could all be free, right?
Mhm.
But one person can't because we're in a we're in a world where it's service to self or service to others. Most family members would rather see you starve on the street than help you. We're not in that
Mm-hmm.
humans ain't in that state of forgiveness and helping yet.
And I think a
We would
lot of
blindly
people
follow the
get that.
government, do the work, pay our taxes, go to church, listen to all these false teachings, and shun others. And so if one person does it, they're an outcast, right? Oh, they're
Mm-hmm.
homeless. Now they're a drug addict. They're this, they're that. Or, oh, they're just lazy. They don't want to work. They can't do it on their own. If we get to the point where that we don't need anyone, we only need ourselves, we can help each other. We wouldn't starve. We could provide each other with housing, right? That,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Could be
If you
very,
want to,
could be
yeah,
really, really different. Jeremy, what were you going to say?
People get this mindset of that the government is out there to help them and that the government's for the people, but I very few politicians truly are, in my opinion, and they want to make us dependent on them so they can again have that control of the narrative, control of our lives. If we're dependent on them, then they can influence and know every aspect of what we're doing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where one of the biggest misconceptions is. I don't care, what side somebody's on politically. If you look at, their what they're telling you and their core values, that vastly differs from what really is. And we're not, you know, going to change anything by depending on the government or
Mm-hmm.
letting them control what we do and what we say. We've
yeah,
got to be willing to admit there's more truth out there than we're being told. And, you can call it the spiritual realm, you can call it, interdimensional, but there's far more than they want us to believe because that belief will open up possibilities of the government losing that control over us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
true.
Yep.
Very true.
Yep.
Because really,
I go
yeah,
ahead,
it's
Jay.
all, no, I just saying, I've always seen it that way. It don't, everyone's playing victim. It don't have to be that way. We could say we're in the, whatever, first dimension, third frequency. It doesn't have to be what we consider as bad. We can transform that back, right? Just so we can have experience here or have experiences in other places.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it
Maya,
was
did
more
you?
free. It was more free. We could walk to Niflheim. We could, you know what I mean? Other places, in other realms.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I got memories of being on mountains with Zeus, right? Like the character they would have called those kind of people. I'm not saying that was Zeus, but wearing like the crowns and the robes, being on those kind of things, and a lot of those beings, our family of those times, were here as fairies and stuff now that come to us once in a while that people see. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes,
we're
Maya,
locked
did you?
down. We can travel up to those
Sorry.
frequencies and access that. I get mad that I can't. Like it'll happen once in a while, and then it's like months go by or years. And I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, why did that only happen once, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get periods where I'm prolific spiritually and other times where I'm just dry. And it used to really bother me. I used to think that maybe I'd done something wrong, but according to my guides, no, they help me to get to a certain level of understanding, and then they leave me alone for me to exercise and practice on my own to develop, spiritual skills on my own too. And if they do everything for me, I'm not going to learn how to use those gifts myself. Maya, did you have something else you wanted to say? We're coming close to the end of the show, guys. I want to give you each some time to talk about your channels and what you do and tell the audience more about you. But I thought maybe Maya had something she's waiting to say.
Oh no, I just the word reality experiment came into my mind about a week ago and it just popped up again. And I don't think I've heard that before, but I feel like there might be something to that. Like
Okay.
perhaps this is like an experiment or an educational realm. I don't know, to help build us consciously, And I agree with the spiritual gifts coming in ebbs and flows. That happens to me too. I feel like the ones that are working with us for our highest good, like our guides, they are giving us time to integrate the things that we're learning and experiencing.
Yeah.
Although I would love to experience something fabulous every day, but my mind would probably explode. Saw a shadow being behind me, or an orb of light inside the house, and it would just continue. It doesn't give you enough time to like actually like realize what's happening and take it in and see what it means to you. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, as I mentioned, we're coming close to the end of the show. I want to give you each some time to express yourselves, to tell the audience what you're up to, about your channels, where they can find you, all that kind of good stuff. Jeremy, do you want to start us off?
Sure. On my primary channel, Geek Culture 101, I try to, cover everything from tech to comic books to movies and really everything in between. My slogan is "Your home for all things geek," and that's what I really try to do that. And it's just the things that I enjoy. I'm a geek myself, so I believe that all ties into, some of the, UFOs, extraterrestrial, and all it's all connected in there. But then I also incorporate some of that into my music over on my other channel, Fate's Dream, where, in my writing, I'll do a variety of genres and different concepts and narratives, but I always try to have some depth to it, whether it be a story, whether it be a philosophy or a thought. There I always try to incorporate something more because there is more out there and we should be striving for that.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And so they can find you under Geek Culture 101. Is that right? On YouTube?
Yes.
Okay, the
Yes.
links are below everybody, so you can go and look there. And any final words, Jeremy, on the whole issue of disclosure?
I believe that we'll never truly have it and we should keep fighting for it and keep trying to grow, but the main thing is focusing on ourselves and our own understandings and shaping our reality.
I agree. We want to be the mistress or master of our own domain for sure. Uh, Maya, you want to tell people what you're up to? You got a new website happening. It's beautiful. I put the link for that in the description as well. And any last minute or last words you'd like to add to the discussion?
oh yeah, I do have a new website up. It's MiyaStarFire.com, keeping it as simple as possible on any sites or platforms I'm on. YouTube is also Maya Starfire, and Facebook Maya Starfire. Um, and yeah, on my website, I offer healings and energy readings and oracle and tarot card readings.
Mhm.
It's going to expand, but it took a lot of energy and work to do what I did. So I'm going to take a break from the website for building right
Mhm.
now. And my final words, yeah, disclosure is, I mean, it's already been happening for us that do know. And we need to look beyond the distraction. Anytime the mainstream or government is saying, look at this, it's time to go. Okay, I need to look away and go look somewhere else. What am I missing? Um, and the last message I got that was super important, I think, because a lot of people have been going through like mental and health problems, a lot of
Mhm.
people, like seemingly healthy people too, is that this happening because the body remembers what the soul has needed to heal. So we need to focus on why am I getting sick? What's the spiritual component and the emotional component to this? Not that you don't need to go see a doctor, but usually there's an underlying reason why you're getting sick or having mental unease.
Mhm.
And it's important to look at that part of it too.
Mhm. Wonderful. Wonderful. And any last comments regarding disclosure?
Um, It's the truth of everything is going to come from within you. So everything else that's out there that we don't really know about, it's going to come from within you, and through you and through the people that you trust. I wouldn't go looking for any answers outside of you, especially when it comes to disclosure.
Good advice. And Jay, do you want to tell people what you're up to and where they can find you? And do you have any final thoughts on disclosure?
Yeah. I don't really talk about it a lot because I'm staying away from that kind of things. I can keep my own experiences for myself
That's
because
okay.
they're all over the place, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
fun to talk about. Like I could talk for hours on weird stuff, right? But disclosure, I think that's the word that should be dropped, right? Altogether.
Mm-hmm.
No one pay attention to it. I just had a message coming in when Maya was talking. Is we all think things are here hard, right? But we're the toughest of the toughest. We come here, agreed to amnesia to come here. It's like that saying, humans go where angels fear to tread. We come here to experience all that we are not. So if you can say that
Mm-hmm.
to yourself, you go out and have your troubled days. I come here to experience all that I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Yeah.
the most important message that I have right now. But yeah, I'm at
No,
J
it's
SkyRunner. I'm mostly doing self-healing stuff so people can work on activating themselves and healing themselves. That's the most important thing right now. How to step out of step out of the simulation, no time, space time, whatever people want to call it. Go into a sacred neutral point of view. There's other spiritual terms like the I am, but there is the I am. Even some people are against it. Get up, breathe, work on yourself. People are too lazy. I'm too lazy half the time. You know what I mean? But if I take the minute to breathe and before world chaos and world noise, before scrolling Facebook, before checking emails and news for things that influence yourself, we are in that dream. We are in dream time reality still, where absolute healing and manifestation really works. Not through
mm-hmm.
not through people charging much money to do it. It's there. Everyone has
Mm.
access. That's why I put my videos an hour are all. I'm not charging for courses. I'm hopefully having a whole course out. It's all free. You know what I mean? Everything's gonna be everything that I do personally for myself. That's why I think it's important because I healed myself many times with it. I'm just gonna put it out there for whoever wants to do it and resonates with it and wants to do the work.
Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. Oh, well, all three of you have a lot to offer humankind. I'm absolutely blessed that you were able to come on the show today. Thank you. Maya and Jay and Jeremy, a very, very awesome group to work with. I'd love to have you back sometime. And I want to thank those that came for the live chat today. I didn't post all of the comments. Sometimes I find it a bit overwhelming to pay attention to the guest and manage the live chat, but I do the best that I can. And I'm very grateful for each and every one of you who came into the live chat today. And the replay will be up soon on YouTube. The live is already up on Rumble and X. And of course, it will also be on Odyssey and on all audio platforms. So I just want to thank everybody again for being here. I hope you have the best week ever. Take care, my friends. Bye bye for now.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me for the Aliens and Angels podcast. Read about my true life ET contact in my book called Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors, which is now available on Amazon worldwide. Subscribe to my YouTube, Rumble, and X channels at Karen Holten TV. The like button and leave me a comment. And please do share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.KarenHoltenHealthCoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All of the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will also find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holten on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.